the night I awakened and met my true self. 3 years ago, I lost everything. My job, my lover, my family, and worst of all, my reason to exist. I became hollow, like a breathing shell. I used to be a university lecturer, respected, secure, in a stable relationship, but it only took one moment for everything to unravel like thread in the wind. One morning, I received a call that my mother had passed away from a sudden stroke. The worst part, I couldn't say goodbye. I was on a business trip, chasing deadlines. The guilt ate at me day and night. Not long after the funeral, my girlfriend of 7 years left me. All she left was a message. "You're not you anymore." I quit my job and moved back to my mother's old cottage in the misty hills of Darlot. It was cold, quiet, and soaked in the scent of pine and old memories. I cut myself off from the world, just me, coffee, cigarettes, and sleepless nights. Until that night at exactly 3 a.m. someone knocked at the door. There was no one there. Only the faint tinkling of wind chimes my mother had hung years ago, and a thin layer of mist hanging like a veil over the porch. But the next morning, I found a piece of paper slid under the door. "Every soul is given a chance to awaken. Do you want yours?" No name, the handwriting, eerily resembled my mother's. I thought I was hallucinating from sleep deprivation. But the next night, at the same time, the knock returned. This time, I rushed to open the door immediately. But again, no one. Only a black cat sitting silently on the porch railing, staring at me with luminous yellow eyes. The moment I stepped closer, it darted into the woods behind the house. And there, in the heart of the pine forest, I saw a dim light glowing. I don't know why I followed. Maybe I had nothing left to lose. Maybe some part of me hoped to believe in something again. I walked a narrow trail until I reached a small cabin, wooden, old, flickering with firelight inside. An elderly woman sat by the fire as if she'd been waiting. "You came," she said, without turning round. I couldn't speak. My feet were frozen. She gestured toward a creaky wooden stool beside her. "Drink," she said, offering me a clay cup. "This will help you see what's inside." I don't know why I drank it. I had never believed in spiritual things, but I drank. The tea was bitter, so bitter it made my tongue sting, but then sweet, deeply, strangely comforting, like something warm had pressed against the hollowness inside me. "People who live in regret are dead while alive," she said calmly, looking at me with ageless eyes. "But those who walk through pain, they learn how to befriend themselves." And I broke. Tears poured out after 3 whole years of numbness. I told her everything about my mother, my girlfriend, my emptiness, my thing. I spoke like a child who had finally found someone to listen. She didn't judge. She didn't offer pity. She only said, "The true mirror doesn't reflect your face, it reflects the part of you that you've forgotten." That night, I fell asleep inside the cabin, and I dreamed of my mother. She was sitting by a window, light spilling over her hair like silver mist. She didn't speak. She just looked at me and smiled, and I knew she had forgiven me. When I awoke, the cabin was gone. I was lying in the middle of the pine forest, my head resting on a fallen log. No sign of the woman, no sign of the fire, but my chest felt lighter than it had in years, as if I had repaid some silent debt to the universe. That day, I began writing again. I wrote about my mother, about grief, about silence, about love. One posted my reflections online. To my surprise, people resonated. Slowly, I returned to teaching, not in classrooms, but in quiet spaces where people gathered to heal, to reflect, to remember themselves. I never saw the old woman or the black cat again. But every night at 3 a.m., sometimes I wake up, sip tea, and thank my mother and the one who knocked that night. Some say I hallucinated, that it was just trauma, grief, dreams. Maybe they're right, but I know what I felt was real. Because that night, I came back to life.